Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Friday morning. It's Stephen Whiteside here from the uptrend.com. In the pre-market this morning, stock index futures are all over the place. They've been mostly lower this morning. Currently, they're trading around fair value. We do have commodities mixed with gold higher, while crude oil is slightly lower, and Bitcoin's up, scratching the $100,000 level in the pre-market. Looking at the week so far, I printed off these weekly charts. I like to just see how we're coming into the weekend, if there's going to be any major long-term trend changes, and so far that is not the case. We've got Bitcoin up over 7% so far this week. We have an inside week so far for the price of gold. It's up $104.80 so far. It's up more in the pre-market, so that inside week may change going into the weekend. Crude oil is up on the week. Certainly no major trend change there for crude oil. Natural gas is up over 12%. Natural gas, of course, has been a disappointment for a long time from a long-term basis. We just put in a low recently, so we'll have to see if we can take out the recent high. Then looking at the VIX is up 4.5% on the week so far. No trend change expected there on the weekly chart. An inside week so far for the S&P 500, an inside week so far for the NASDAQ. The Russell has broken down below last week's low, but has come back into the previous week's range, so no change there. Now, last week we had a bearish reversal week for the U.S. markets. And so far with these inside weeks, that bearish reversal signal is still in play. That has not changed, even though it looks like we're going to have a positive week. There's the TSX starting to trade above 25,000, and we're up a little over 2% so far this week. Now, we've been talking about big round numbers. Sometimes people don't notice them. Sometimes the whole world's looking at them. And here's one that will be in every news announcement on Friday if it's hit. And we're getting pretty close to hitting the $100,000 level for Bitcoin. So that should be interesting to see how the market reacts to that. Of course, if Bitcoin's going up, that's great. If it's going down, of course, you've got alternatives where you can make money if Bitcoin starts to pull back and use the bear ETFs. Now, we've talked about good things happening to good stocks and bad things happening to bad stocks. A bad stock for a long time has been Spirit Airlines, and it's coming off out of our database this weekend. So Spirit has been in a long-term downtrend. There was really no reason to chase this stock. I know when it gets down, it's under $5. It seems like it's attractive, but you're taking on additional risk when a stock is in a long-term downtrend. If you're playing this market and if you're playing a sector and all the stocks in a particular sector are not doing well, they're all trading below the flypaper channel, then what you have to watch for is the first one that turns around and starts to take off. That's the one the market wants. That's the one you should be focused on. And recently, we watched SkyWest trade in the flypaper channel for a while and then start to break out above it. Or, there we had United Airlines was trading below the flypaper channel and then started to break out above it. So, you want to follow the ones that the market wants. And one of the signs that the market wants a stock is it starts trading above the flypaper channel. Now, yesterday was the NVIDIA reaction day. Remember, we got the earnings on the previous night. The stock was selling off in the pre-market yesterday morning, and we always like to wait and see how the market closes before taking action. And NVIDIA stock was all over the place yesterday. It closed right on the upper channel line. So a close below yesterday's low would give us a new daily sell signal. It is down slightly in the pre-market this morning. Now, yesterday it opened just below the 150 level, and it did trade above that, but came back and closed lower on the day. So when a market closes lower than it opens, that tips the hand, telling us that the pros were selling into the close. No major breakdown here so far. If it starts closing above 150, then we've got certainly more targets to the upside there, and 137.50, 131.25 are targets to the downside. Now, there's a list of Magnificent Seven stocks. Our list has got two additional stocks in it. So It is the Magnificent 9 list. The Magnificent 7 ETF is still on a buy signal here. It traded through the lower channel line yesterday, and if it closes on Friday below $50.67, that would give us a new daily sell signal. Now, we have the triple Qs coming back into the channel yesterday. A close on Friday above $506.74 would give us a new daily buy signal for the NASDAQ 100. Looking at Apple, I was kind of reluctant about jumping back into Apple. And here we are. We're just trading sideways at the moment, but still long Apple. That would change on Friday with a close below $224.73. Amazon is still on a sell signal. It was lower yesterday. We had a big sell-off yesterday in Alphabet. It ended up closing just above the 168.75 level. If we take out yesterday's low, then 162.50 has lots of support, and that is certainly a legitimate target to the downside. We still have Meta on a sell signal, no change there. We still have Microsoft on a sell signal, no change there. Shopify in New York, we're looking for a close on Friday below 89.58. On the TSX, we're looking for a close below $139.27. For Tesla, we're looking for a close on Friday below $314.76. Tesla is trading right around our current price target of $343.75. If we take out the recent high, then $375, $406.25 come into play. And of course, we would expect psychological resistance at 400. There's Taiwan Semiconductors trading up to the upper channel line yesterday. We're looking for a close on Friday above $192.65. Looking at the major index ETFs, and I want to focus on Toronto with the Vanguard Canada ETF up 1.44% yesterday, making a new high. And for the iShares for the TSX 60, we're up a little less than that. So the overall market was stronger than the TSX 60, up 1.27% on the day. The big winner was uranium. Cameco was up 5.6% on the day, and TransAlta on the TSX was the big winner. What didn't work yesterday? Well, TELUS and Bell were the big losers on the TSX 60. Looking at the Dow is up. It's back on a buy signal as of Thursday's close. The big winner yesterday was IBM on the Dow. What's not working? Well, Boeing and McDonald's are still not working on the Dow. Now, the S&P 500 ended the day just up over 0.5%, back on a daily buy signal. And at the same time, the equal-weighted S&P 500 was up 1.26%. So the overall market doing better than the big cap stocks. The biggest winner on the S&P 500 was once again Supermicro. And again, this is a very risky stock. Lots of potential up to the $45 area, but you're taking big risks. Then Deere was up over 8% on the day. That was the next big winner. Then we had TDG down on the day. Of course, as soon as you look at this chart, the first thing you should notice, a series of lower highs and lower lows. We started off by making a lower high here, and then we had a low, and once you start breaking that, that's where the pattern starts, and that's where you've got a lower high and a lower low. What happened next? Well, we put in a lower high, and what do you know? We've been putting in lower lows. So always, visualize that in your head first. Just because the stock is falling doesn't mean it's going to be an easy buy on the way back up. Let's finish off this morning's presentation looking at commodity ETFs, starting off with crude oil. We're back on a buy signal as of Thursday's close, joining gasoline and natural gas, which continued to move higher on Thursday. Looking at the UNG, we're coming up to 1563. That's our next price target. That is the bottom of an open gap, which could need to be filled. And then 1719 is our next target, but we faded that last time we were moving up in late September. And you can see last time we did not get up to the 200-day moving average. Maybe we can do that this time. With natural gas, the rallies are short and sweet. You got to take money off the table fairly aggressively. There's no telling when a long-term uptrend is going to start. That might have start if something terrible happens somewhere. But, natural gas is a localized commodity here in North America. Looking at energy stocks, the Canadian energy market outpaced the U.S. energy market on Thursday, and we do have Canadian Natural Resources back on a buy signal as of Thursday's close. There's the U.S. energy sector continuing to move higher on Thursday. Looking at copper and copper miners, they're still on sell signals, no change there. For the miners, that would change on Friday with a close above $42.96. There's the GLD, second day of a buy signal, moving up again in the pre-market on Friday morning. There's the GDX moving up. There's junior gold miners back on a buy signal. And then we've got the Canadian gold sector moving up on Thursday. What's not working? Well, silver is still on a sell signal. Silver miners and junior silver miners are all still on sell signals at the moment. Okay, folks, that is all for this morning's presentation. So far, it looks like we're going to have a quiet open on Friday morning. Again, no major economic numbers coming out in the pre-market on Friday. You have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful weekend. And if you're a member, we'll be back on Sunday with our weekly video.